If you thought Godzilla wasn't real, well, you're right. But what if I told you that deep in the heart of ancient North Africa, you will find a monster so large, you'll feel your stomach drop just imagining it. This creature ruled rivers like a living nightmare. And believe me when I say, you've never seen anything quite like it. I'm talking about the super crocodile called the Sarcosuchus, one of the largest reptiles to ever exist. Everything about its body looked oversized, exaggerated, and almost unfair compared to anything alive today. This was not just a big crocodile. This was a walking, swimming wall of muscle, bone, and teeth built to dominate entire river systems. Sarcosuchus lived around 110 million years ago during the Cretaceous period, and it was one of the most dominant monsters of its time. And when I say dominance, I'm not just talking about raw power. Its sheer size and length could make your heart skip a beat. According to fossil evidence, a full-grown Sarcosuchus can stretch up to 40 feet from snout to tail. Yes, 40 feet. That length alone changes how you picture a crocodile. I mean, most modern crocs look huge until you imagine adding another full car length to it. But here's what's amazing. Its tail made up more than half that body length. That tail stretched over 20 feet and worked like a massive engine underwater. One powerful sweep could launch its body forward instantly. Its tail was thick, muscular, and built for sudden bursts of speed. But it didn't just help with swimming, it also helped deliver force during attacks. But besides its impressive length, the body itself stood incredibly tall for a crocodilian. You might find this hard to believe, but Sarcosuchus stood close to 6 feet high at its hips. This means its back rose higher than most humans alive today. That's how much of a giant monster it was. Now its body width added even more intimidation. Estimates suggest it reached about 5 feet wide across the back. That width came from thick ribs, dense muscle, and heavy armor plates. The torso looked more like a tank than a reptile. So no, this was not a sleek animal. It was broad, heavy, and built to overpower anything nearby. But if you're amazed by its length, width, and height, wait till I tell you how heavy this animal was. According to weight estimates, the Sarcosuchus weighs between 8 and 10 tons when fully grown. It's crazy to imagine how that weight rivals some large predatory dinosaurs. Now, carrying that much mass required incredibly strong bones, which is why its limbs grew thick and sturdy to support the load. The legs were shorter than many land animals, but extremely dense. This helped stabilize its body both on land and underwater. And when it rested in shallow water, its legs anchored it firmly. It was so big and heavy that it did not get pushed around by currents. Rather, it controlled its position easily. But even as large and as powerful as this reptile was, it still had protection over its already thick skin. Covering that massive body was a layer of heavy armor. Sarcosuchus had thick bony plates called osteoderms embedded in its skin. These plates locked together tightly along its back, and they formed a protective shield that resisted bites and impacts. Of course, this armor added some extra weight, but for the Sarcosuchus, protection mattered just as much as power. Any animal trying to attack from above faced serious resistance. The armor extended along much of the tail as well, and this turned the tail into both a weapon and a shield. As for the neck, it was shorter and thicker than modern crocodiles. This helped support the enormous skull at the front. Holding up a 6-foot-long skull required serious muscle, so the neck muscles stayed thick and powerful to control head movement. That strength helped during sudden strikes. It also helped when shaking prey violently, because Sarcosuchus did not rely on finesse. It relied on overwhelming force delivered through muscle and mass. Now that skull deserves special attention. The skull alone measured around 6 feet long. That is longer than many full-grown humans are tall. The shape was long and narrow overall, but widened near the tip. This design helped it snap shut quickly while still maintaining strength. The long snout helped reduce water resistance during attacks, and the widened tip added stability when biting down. This balance made its jaws incredibly effective. Now inside that massive skull, you'd find more than 100 teeth. Each tooth looked thick, conical, and deeply rooted. But these were not thin slicing teeth. They were gripping and crushing teeth. Their shape allowed them to pierce, hold, and break bones. And once prey entered that mouth, escape became nearly impossible. Now the jaw muscles powering those teeth were enormous. Muscle attachment scars on fossil skulls show extreme development. These muscles gave Sarcosuchus a crushing bite force. Scientists believe its bite could shatter bones with ease. Fish bones, dinosaur limbs, and thick shells stood no chance. Because the jaws did not just snap shut quickly, they stayed clamped with relentless pressure, and prey could not fight their way out once caught. The long snout also improves strike speed underwater. Water resistance slows movement, but Sarcosuchus minimized that problem. Its narrow profile allowed faster jaw closure. This mattered when targeting fast-moving fish. Giant fish lived in these ancient rivers, and Sarcosuchus needed speed as well as power to catch them. Luckily for it, its jaw design delivered both functions without compromise. That strange bump near the tip of its snout adds even more mystery. Scientists believe this feature may have helped with feeding. It could have strengthened the snout during powerful bites. It may have also played a role in mating displays. But regardless of its purpose, it added to the skull's already intimidating look. Seeing that shape rise from murky water would terrify anything nearby. Amazingly, its teeth constantly replaced themselves throughout its life. Like modern crocs, Sarcosuchus grew new teeth regularly. This ensured damaged or broken teeth never became a weakness. A broken tooth simply fell out and got replaced. That meant its bite stayed deadly year after year. No wear and tear slowed it down. When Sarcosuchus attacked, its body and jaws worked together perfectly. The tail launched the body forward, the jaws snapped shut at the exact moment of impact, and the weight of the body added extra force to the bite. This combination delivered devastating results. Even large prey could not withstand that collision. Once it bit down, Sarcosuchus used its neck and torso strength next. It twisted and rolled its body violently. This motion tore flesh apart and broke bones. The armored back protected it during these struggles, and the wide body provided balance and leverage. Everything about its build supported this brutal feeding method. Even when resting, its body still looked dangerous. A fully grown Sarcosuchus lying along a riverbank looked like a fallen tree. However, that tree weighed several tons and could move instantly. Its sheer size discouraged attacks from others. Very few animals would risk approaching it, because the body itself acted as a warning sign. Comparing Sarcosuchus to modern crocodiles really shows the difference. The largest living saltwater crocs reach about 23 feet, but Sarcosuchus nearly doubled that length. Modern crocs weigh around 1 ton at most, but Sarcosuchus outweighed them several times over. In fact, its skull alone rivaled the size of an entire modern croc body. Everything about Sarcosuchus leaned toward physical dominance. It did not rely on venom, speed alone, or pack behavior. Rather, it relied on size, strength, and jaws built for destruction. Its body turned rivers into personal territory, and its teeth ensured nothing survived a mistake. This combination made it one of the most extreme predators ever discovered. So when you picture Sarcosuchus, do not imagine just a bigger crocodile. Imagine a prehistoric engine of muscle and bone. Imagine teeth designed to crush dinosaurs. Imagine a body so large it reshaped entire river ecosystems. That was Sarcosuchus in its prime. And knowing it once existed makes modern predators feel very small. Because they did not simply live in rivers, they completely dominated them. Speaking of dominating, Sarcosuchus was a very territorial animal, because wherever this massive croc settled, the entire environment changed around it. Other animals did not need to see Sarcosuchus to know it was nearby. They could sense the danger through vibrations in the water and sudden changes in activity. Fish scattered faster, smaller crocodiles vanished from the area, and even large predators behaved more carefully. Its raw strength and size alone reshaped how life worked along those rivers. Its size gave it an advantage that almost nothing could challenge, because when an animal reaches that level of mass and power, confidence naturally follows. Smaller crocodiles avoided those waters entirely because survival depended on it. Competing for food or space simply was not worth the risk. Even predators that normally ruled their own territories became cautious near Sarcosuchus territory. And because of this, Sarcosuchus could control massive stretches of river without needing constant violence. That control mattered because fighting always carries risk, even for giants. Instead of attacking everything that entered its space, Sarcosuchus relied heavily on intimidation. When another animal pushed too close, it responded with open mouth displays. Seeing that enormous skull rise from the water was enough to stop most challenges immediately. Rows of thick, bone-crushing teeth made the warning very clear. Back off now, or suffer serious consequences. In most cases, rivals understood the message and retreated. However, when intimidation failed, the outcome became brutally one-sided. Physical confrontations were rare, but they ended quickly when they happened. One well-placed bite from Sarcosuchus could crush bones and cripple another animal instantly. That level of power made resistance pointless. On top of that, its thick, armored skin reduced injuries during clashes. Bony plates along its back protected vital areas and absorbed damage. Even if struck, Sarcosuchus could continue fighting with little slowdown, which only reinforced its dominance. That being said, strength was not just about fighting rivals. It also mattered for controlling space and resources. Sarcosuchus had powerful legs capable of moving its massive body across riverbanks when needed. This ability helped during nesting seasons and territory patrols. And while it preferred staying in the water to save energy, it could still move on land when the situation demanded it. Everything about its body supported dominance in aquatic environments, making rivers its perfect stronghold. Now, with territory firmly under control, mating became the next major focus, and dominance played a huge role during breeding seasons, just like it does in modern crocodiles. Only the largest and strongest males gained access to the safest and most valuable nesting areas. These areas offered protection from flooding and predators, which directly affected offspring survival. Because of this, males competed heavily for control, but not always through direct fighting. Instead, displays became the main way males showed strength. Size comparisons, posture, and jaw-opening displays allowed rivals to measure each other quickly. The biggest male usually won these contests without needing to bite anyone. The distinctive bump on Sarcosuchus' snout may have made these displays even more effective by making the head appear larger and more intimidating. Females likely paid close attention to these signals when choosing a mate. But choosing a dominant male was not just about strength, it was about survival. A strong mate controlled better territory, which meant safer nesting areas and more reliable food access. Once mating occurred, females shifted their focus almost entirely to protecting the next generation. Finding the right nesting location became the top priority, and riverbanks offered the best balance between access to water and safety. Females carefully selected nesting spots above flood levels, since sudden rises in water could destroy eggs easily. Using mud, plants, and debris, they built nests designed to protect developing eggs and regulate temperature. Temperature mattered a lot as it affected development and hatchling success. Females laid dozens of eggs in a single clutch, increasing the odds that at least some would survive. After laying eggs, protection became intense. Females likely stayed near their nests and guarded them aggressively. Any animal that came too close faced immediate danger. Birds, mammals, and other reptiles all posed threats, and Sarcosuchus responded with intimidation first, then force if needed. A guarding female used her size and strength as a clear warning, and most predators chose to stay away. But even with strong nest defense, danger did not end once the eggs hatched. In many ways, it increased. Hatchlings entered a river environment filled with predators. Fish attacked from below, birds struck from above, and other reptiles hunted young crocs whenever possible. At this stage, maternal care became especially important. Mothers likely stayed near their young for some time, offering protection during the most vulnerable early period. They may have guided hatchlings toward shallower waters, where large predators had more difficulty attacking. Staying close together also improved survival chances. Even so, losses remained extremely high. Only a small percentage of hatchlings survived their first year, but as young Sarcosuchus grew, their chances improved gradually. Larger size meant fewer predators could threaten them. Their diet expanded from small fish to larger prey, supporting faster growth. Now, growth took many years and required steady access to food and safe territory. And those born into strong, well-controlled territories had a clear advantage. Eventually, the survivors reached adulthood and entered the dominance cycle themselves. They claimed territory, used intimidation displays, and reshaped their environment just like the generation before them. Other animals adjusted their behavior around these giants, avoiding water at certain times or approaching rivers cautiously. And over time, Sarcosuchus influenced entire ecosystems through sheer presence alone. In the end, Sarcosuchus ruled its world through raw strength, dominance, and calculated parenting. It balanced intimidation with power and protection with aggression. Very few creatures in history have controlled their environment so completely, and even today, imagining that level of dominance still feels unreal. Speaking of unreal, have you ever wondered how much food an adult Sarcosuchus could actually eat? The answer to this question sounds made up, but it's true, because this was not an animal grabbing a quick meal and moving on. It was built to consume ridiculous amounts of food in a single sitting, then live on that energy for long stretches of time. Once you understand how its body worked, its feeding habits start to feel both shocking and logical at the same time. To begin with, Sarcosuchus followed a feeding strategy similar to modern crocodiles, just on a much larger scale. Today, large saltwater crocodiles can eat up to half their body weight during a big feeding event. But Sarcosuchus was several times heavier than even the largest modern crocs. Fully grown adults weighed between 8 and 10 tons. That means one successful hunt could result in a meal weighing thousands of pounds. We are talking about the kind of meal that would take weeks or even months to fully digest. However, Sarcosuchus did not eat every day, and that is a key detail many people miss. Its slow reptilian metabolism allowed it to survive long periods without food. After a massive meal, Sarcosuchus could remain mostly inactive, floating or resting in deeper water while digestion happened slowly. This low-energy lifestyle reduced the need for constant hunting and lowered the risk of injury. In simple terms, it ate big and waited a long time before eating again. When Sarcosuchus did hunt, it made the effort count. It positioned itself near riverbanks where animals gathered to drink or cross. Its massive body stayed hidden beneath the water surface, with only its eyes and nostrils exposed. From that position, it could launch forward with shocking speed. The jaws snapped shut in a fraction of a second, grabbing prey before it had time to react. And once the jaws closed, it was game over for the prey. Fish made up a steady part of its diet, especially giant fish that lived in Cretaceous rivers. These fish were far larger than most fish alive today, sometimes reaching several feet in length. Sarcosuchus could swallow smaller fish whole and tear larger ones apart using powerful neck muscles. However, fish alone would not explain the massive size of this animal. It almost certainly preyed on dinosaurs as well. Medium-sized dinosaurs that approach water sources were especially vulnerable, and when Sarcosuchus grabbed one, it dragged the animal into the water to drown it. This method required less effort than trying to kill prey on land. And once the prey stopped struggling, Sarcosuchus used rolling motions to tear off large chunks of flesh. This feeding technique allowed it to eat animals far larger than its mouth opening. And because of this feeding style, Sarcosuchus could eat enormous amounts in a single session. But this beast did not chew its food, so digestion relied on powerful stomach acids and time. Bones, flesh, and even tougher material slowly broke down inside its stomach. This process took weeks, which explains why frequent feeding was unnecessary. In fact, eating too often could be dangerous, as movement during digestion increased its vulnerability. But it's worth mentioning that young Sarcosuchus ate more frequently than adults. This is because juveniles needed constant energy to grow and survive in a dangerous environment. They fed on small fish, amphibians, and anything they could catch. As they grew larger, their diet expanded, and feeding frequency slowly decreased. By adulthood, efficiency mattered more than speed or frequency. This feeding strategy also played a huge role in dominance. Since Sarcosuchus did not need to hunt constantly, it avoided unnecessary risks. Meanwhile, other predators that required frequent feeding struggled during lean periods. But Sarcosuchus could wait patiently until the perfect opportunity appeared. But this raises an important question. Did anything hunt Sarcosuchus in return? For adults, the answer is almost nothing, because a fully grown Sarcosuchus sat near the top of the food chain. Its size, armor, and raw power made it an extremely dangerous target. Most predators would have avoided it entirely, but that does not mean Sarcosuchus was completely untouchable. Younger individuals faced real danger, as large predatory dinosaurs living near rivers may have attacked juveniles. These dinosaurs had strong jaws and sharp teeth capable of dealing serious damage. Even so, attacking a young Sarcosuchus still carried risk, since even smaller individuals had strong bites and armored skin. For full-grown adults, natural predators were extremely rare. A very large dinosaur might have challenged a weakened or injured Sarcosuchus, especially on land. However, these situations would have been uncommon. In water, Sarcosuchus held a major advantage. Its body was built for aquatic combat, and its strength made ambush nearly unstoppable. But what about humans? Did they ever hunt Sarcosuchus? Well, this is where timelines matter, because humans never encountered Sarcosuchus. These super crocs lived about 110 million years ago, while modern humans appeared only a few 100,000 years ago. There is a massive gap between these time periods. No early humans, no ancient humans, and no human ancestors ever saw this animal alive. Every interaction humans have had with Sarcosuchus comes from fossils. Still, it is hard not to imagine what that encounter would have looked like. If humans had existed alongside Sarcosuchus, rivers would have been extremely dangerous places. Its stealth, speed, and feeding habits would have made water crossings deadly. But fortunately for humans, Sarcosuchus disappeared long before people arrived. So what actually caused Sarcosuchus to disappear? After all, they weren't hunted into extinction by predators or humans. The truth is, environmental change played the biggest role in their disappearance. Over millions of years, climates shifted and river systems changed. Areas that once supported massive prey populations began to dry out or transform into different environments. As rivers changed, food availability declined, and large prey animals became less common or moved elsewhere. For a creature that required massive meals, this posed a serious problem. Because even with its efficient metabolism, Sarcosuchus depended on stable ecosystems. And when those systems collapsed, survival became harder with each generation. Changes in river flow also affected nesting success. Flood patterns became less predictable, destroying nests and reducing hatchling survival. At the same time, smaller and more adaptable crocodilian species began to thrive. These species required less food and could survive in a wider range of environments, and over time, they outcompeted larger species like Sarcosuchus. Generation by generation, Sarcosuchus populations declined. Fewer young survived to adulthood, and fewer adults found enough food to maintain their size. Eventually, the species disappeared completely. Its extinction left behind fossilized bones, teeth and skulls buried in ancient rock. Most Sarcosuchus fossils come from Niger and surrounding regions in Africa. These discoveries revealed how extreme prehistoric ecosystems once were. Rivers that now appear dry and quiet once supported monsters larger than anything alive today. And each fossil tells a story of abundance, danger, and raw power. Looking back, the feeding habits of Sarcosuchus help explain its dominance. Few animals in history could consume thousands of pounds of meat in one meal and then survive weeks without eating again. That ability allowed it to rule ancient rivers for millions of years. It fed without fear, rested without challenge, and shaped entire ecosystems through presence alone. In the end, Sarcosuchus did not vanish because it lacked strength. It vanished because the world around it changed. Its story reminds us that even the most powerful predators depend on stable environments. And when those environments disappear, size and power no longer guarantee survival.